Okay. We continue. So I put up yesterday. So put up on WhatsApp a bunch of. So first of all, Aleph Aleph. The word Aleph Aleph in the beginning of the Maimer, L'Dia Shesh Pnimis HaTorah. The Aleph Aleph is Asifa Samorim, which is a book, which is a safer, which is a pirush on. I put down I copied it here. If you want to look at it, it's a safer, it's a pirush and medrash, and he brings. It says over here, the last line. It says, "That's the lashon." What does that mean? Okay, now it's interesting. Also, is that it says b'shem fake Torah. So I copied down. Whoever wants to look, copy down the actual fake Torah. You're going. That's the next thing I put down. So in the fake Torah, that's not the lashon. The fake Torah, the lashon is a little different. The Torah says, what is it? לידיע שדיבר אסתר סתום משיח אפשר להספרש בו סתם גם כן דברים שאני לא יודע אם פירושם בדיבר קבולה ונדע כדרך התורה ליסטן. That's the lashon in the Torah. This is why he copies dafka from the Asifa Samorim, because they're the lashon pnimius b'Torah. Just a general. Okay, let's go back to the Maimer itself. Bottom of page Kuf Mem Zayin.
Okay, so he quotes it from him with a different language, and that's
Definitely.
Okay.
And then this Maimer, I guess, is negeya more this way of understanding.
This book, the way it's printed, it looks so wow.
It's a very old print, because I don't know, maybe they have better ones now, but that's the one that I found online.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Three lines in the bottom from Zayin. In Yadua, Shiur say the Shtashas, the Mashvaim say the Shtashas. The concept of Shtashas is not Bo Shtashas. Shtashas is Ilu. The concept of Shtashas means Ilu. That one Madrega is Mishtalshal from another. In the world, Gam Shah Olo Rochik Erkem Oid Ma'ila. The Olo and the Il Olo means the result, the effect. The Ilo is the cause. So it's Rochik Erkem, they're really very far apart, far separated from each other. The Masha Nimshach Ma'ila Olo, what reaches the effect from the cause, the Il the Olo, Rak HaOr Ba'al Chatzenis Bilvat. Only something, merely something external. Kedua Klal, the only the external part of the higher madrega of the mashpia of the ila, that becomes the pnimis of the tach. The madrega is achin. Tzeinis madrega is achin is the law. The law is in the most external part. For example, the teacher and the student mashpia makabel bashpas sechel b'dibu, when the teacher is mashpia, gives over seichel, an idea into speech. It's only 1/10 that he's giving you. So where did he get the idea that's 1/10? Because he's gonna talk about the 10 koiches. There's 10 koiches in the nefesh, and what reaches the outside, the makabel, is only 1/10, which is the malchus. So he's describing the whole point why it's seichel, why it's chelik asir. Chelik asir matzich hashachar makabel. From the Seich HaShachar Makabel, only a 10th of it reaches the Makabel, which is like a very external, very minor, and diminished state of Gilui. The Betchilah nimtzat seichel mashpia from this nakuda. So it goes through the whole process. How the seichel is processed in the mind of the teacher. So it goes from the beginning. The beginning is nakuda, which is it's a point, one general point. The innovation, the general concept that exists in the mind of the teacher. Then the stage 2, the teacher within his own mind develops that concept. These two madrigos, nekuda and piyut and development and an explanation, that is chachma and bina. Then the next step, in order to reach the outside, has to go through the filter of midas, of feeling. It's impossible to be mashpia for one person, for the teacher to want to be able to transfer his idea into the mind of the student. In order for that to happen, he has to develop an interest, which is a midah, a feeling that he wants to do it. Otherwise, it just stays within his mind. So, and there's a few stages, it says in that. Number 2, midas achesed, mashpia beribit. First instinct, the first part of the ashpa is midas achesed, being in a state of kindness. Mashpia beribit, should give over his entire in an abundance the idea he has in his mind. But then midas agvura, but if it's going to be in a way of ribui, then the student won't be able to handle it. That's why we have the opposite idea, which is the opposite mode, which is the to contract, to limit ashpa. Midas atiferes, then there's a third midas, midas atiferes, she'aches the gvur b'mzil v'akov nechoin. These two modes of chesed and gvur should be balanced properly. For that, you need midas atiferes. The netzach v'oid, then you have netzach and hoid, which is the two lower madrigas in midas. Klois yotzes ech lashpia. These are the kidneys or advice. That's an expression in Chazal, taken from the early sources, that the kidneys, just like the heart, feels every part of the body. So there's also a concept called klois yotzes. The kidneys of the person, they advise him, they tell him how the flow of the ashpah should go. Even after we went through all these earlier stages, you need more tzimtzum, more limitation. That the seichel that we're talking about, the teacher is teaching the student, shouldn't be some abstract idea. The kidneys, that their function is to ensure that the idea that the teacher wants to teach the student should not be too abstract. The student should be able to handle. That's one way to explain what netzach v'oid is. Then there's another way to describe what is netzach v'oid. Sha'netzach ulenatzeach neged ha'magdim v'ashpa. Netzach means overcome, because when a person, that every teacher can tell you that when he wants to teach, there's also the things outside or inside that block the flow. So you have to overcome. You have to push yourself harder. So that's called netzach. It's another way to describe it. Vaysoid hu is kashas lashpia b'ratzon l'chesed. Then the ashpah itself can be done sort of in a detached way, like a machine, like a robot. But the side that makes the discussions with b'ratzon l'chesed, the actual teaching. A good teacher is someone that the student feels that the teacher is very excited and very involved, invested in making the student understand. that's the midas I said. It connects him in a very strong way. So the description of the 10 midas, the 10 koiches nefesh, the way he just gave us a very short version of it. So in the Ger Sakedesh Siman Tesvav, the Alter Rebbe in Tanya, the Alter Rebbe explains this entire process of the human psyche. That is the whole process. The 10 koiches, we call sometimes 10 spheres, from Chochmah to Yisod. So these are the 9. After this entire process, all happens in the mind of the teacher. Only at that stage does he reach the ultimate level that he actually expresses the idea. The teacher uses his mouth to actually tell the student the idea. So b'meileh zachelek asiri bilvad. So according to this calculation, turns out that what reaches the student is only a tenth, because there's nine stages that happen all within the mind of the mashpia, of the teacher. Only the 10th part, only that reaches the student. So that's a way to explain that chelek asiri, only 1/10 reaches the student. That's one. Well, that for chelek asiri b'mispa. He says when you counted the quantity, it sounds like 1/10, but it's really be'emes. Really, when you talk about quality, it's less than a 10. It's in other words, when we said 10, it makes it sound like it's 10 equal parts, and you only get 1/10. So in other words, it's like you take something, divide it in 10 pieces. So instead of giving the full thing, you just give them 1/10. But it sounds like the 1/10 has the same quality as the others, just less quantity. He says it's really more than that. And it might be yes. The fact that within the mind of the teacher, the idea was the process created a descent from the highest level to the lowest. It's not just another part. In addition to the fact that it's only 1/10 in quantity, it's a different quality. I mean, the truth is, these concepts are not that. I mean, they require probably more explanation. We'll stick to what we have here. So what it says is that the teachers, the part that the teacher conveys to the student is only a partial, a very small part, quantity wise, from what the teacher herself knows. Not only that, it's a different quality. It's a much more diminished quality. Sharei, and he explains better what it means. Because when it reaches it jumps back to the language of all ilu and olu, but he's talking still about the teacher and student here. Because the olu in the effect, the flow of, in our case, in the marshal of the student, in the flow of the idea, the way it reaches the student, it's much more bakshama, which means it's more, what's the word? It's less abstract, more tangible. But the way it is within the mind of the teacher, it's much more abstract and spiritual. He repeats it. But now at this point, we're talking more abstract. We're not talking about the situation of the teacher and the student. The teacher and the student was one marshal. Now he's jumping to another marshal. So he goes back to the concept of il and ol. So the il and ol are cause and effect. They are interconnected. One causes the other. One derives from the other. But the relation between them is that one, the way it's in the ilo, it's a more spiritual state, And the way it's in the Olul, it's a more material, more tangible state. Kumoi, so that brings another much. Kumoi, ein lachaisim lamata shen lamazna lamayla. The famous Chazal say that any blade of grass and anything that grows has there is some kind of mazel, which we'll call it a spiritual source in the higher worlds. That hits him, tells him grow, which means there's a spirit. Everything in the Elam Atzemeach, in the world of flora, has a spiritual source. Array, so again, it's in that world of Elam Atzemeach, he gives us that same mashal of Il and Ol. The fact that the apple is sweet, the sweetness, umesikas gashmi. It's a physical type of sweetness that we taste with our taste buds. The cheich itamoich oichalitam. It's a pasuk. The cheich means what's the word? The cheich. We can taste with our taste buds the sweetness, the taste of any food. By mazel, but the way it is in the original source and the spiritual source, which is called the mazel, it's also sweet, but it's a spiritual type of sweetness. And the truth is, it says, even in our world, there's levels of sweetness. For example, the concept of sweetness exists in our world also. So it says there's a sweet apple and there's a sweet melody. So it says, when we say a sweet apple, it's something extremely material and physical. That when the apple touches the taste buds, you have a certain physical feeling that it's sweet. Sweet meaning that it's very it makes you feel very good. It's very pleasurable. Then there's Mesikas Shebenik. A person listens to a very beautiful melody, and it makes them feel similarly. It makes them also feel a delight and pleasure, right? So there's the delight you get from eating. Okay, in our language, eating something sweet, or listening to a sweet melody. So Shalei Berach, he says, even within our world, the Mesikas of Mataboch, Mesikas Kolnigan, Shalei Berach. Oh, then there's even a higher level of sweetness and delight. Midat Tova. When you see someone do your own experience of doing something, Midat Tova, be good, be kindness, a certain sweetness and delight and kindness. Also, Shalei Berach, even to the Mesikas of Tapuach. Then there is a specific delight that you get from understanding a intellectual concept. He says within our own world, compare the Mesikas of Tapuach, the physical sweetness of an apple, is Shalei Be'er, to the sweetness and delight that they derive from Mesikas Shebeseichel, from an idea. The male kol shekain ubifrat gam Mesikas Shebemazel. So now we're going back to the original statement that there's a mazel, there's a spiritual source that drives the growth of the apple. That's a mazel, which is it's in Elam Salyanim. The Mesikas Shleber. Shamesikas Azois, this sweetness of the mazel, so we see it that both are called mesikus, both the sweetness, I guess in the sense that they cause delight, but it's shalei be'erech. Array, so we see here levacha bekamus. So just we said earlier, b'neget and seichel harav, There's the kamas and the echos. There's the quantity and the quality. The quantity of the idea that reaches the student is a very small part of what the teacher has, and the quality of the idea is also a different quality. It's much less abstract. So similar concepts that exist in the mesikus, in the sweetness, that number one, quantity-wise, the energy, the mesikus of the energy that's in the Asif, it goes back from the Tapuach to the Asif, but in this case, it's not that important. In other words, so the koyach is the quantity wise is much smaller, more diminished. In the beich, from the quality perspective, they're very far removed from each other, very removed. Then he brings the third marshal. So we have two marshalim. One marshal is a Rav Talmid, and one marshal is a Mesikas Shel Tapuach and Mesikas Shel Bamaz. Now I bring the third marshal. Third marshal is from the Koiches HaNefesh. We have the mind and the emotion, the intellect and the emotion. Person understands in his mind, understands well the benefit of the object or that he's talking about. So that in turn, if you understand well how this particular person or object or idea is so beneficial, so that makes your heart being drawn to it. He's talking it in a positive sense. We can say it also the opposite way. Usually, so this brings this side. If you understand in your mind how dangerous it is, so it also creates a feeling in your mind that you fear, disgust. So we say the mind creates the emotion. The understanding, the awareness creates the feeling. So what it says there's a difference. That's also illable, but there's a major difference between the way the mind perceives it and the way the heart is affected by it. When you're talking about the seichel, what do you see in the seichel? Seichel is an objective observation, objective analysis. That this is good. This thing is good. When it reaches the level of emotion, it's more subjective. It's more his own, how it affects the person himself. It's not the objective observation that this is good. It's what is in it for me. It brings it more, it develops it more. A person in davening is concentrating and meditating and contemplating to understand godliness. So the first stages, he understands well in his mind this godly Indian. So the first stage is in his mind, he understands well, he grasps and understands well the goodness of Alikus. His mind is excited about it. But what he's talking about is the way Alikus is toiv mitzadatzma. The Eibishter is kulei Ubelay, but the later state, then when it reaches the heart, the belay bo ergesh ech shekel sakim loy toiv. When it comes to the heart, it's a stage below it. Then there is a different view. It's actually loy toiv shehergesh atzma. Your own feelings are mixed in. Like I said, subjective. Feel how it's better for you. It's beneficial to you to be to experience godliness. Okay. So we said like this. So number one, see. So he breaks it down into two parts here. You have to pay attention to what he's saying. Alavat shamida asmi sasam v'geshes. You do it. This midas v'geshatzmoi. So he breaks it down and passes it into two parts. In the middle, in the feeling, and then in the later case that he's talking about now, when it's minus and likus, in turn, it brings out the person's feeling of wanting to feeling the goodness of a likus. He says the two parts. In addition to that, the feeling itself is inspired reactions. The person is emotionally overcome, so to speak. They say that person is emotionally overcome. It's really about himself. His own heart. He feels good. It's all so to ergish atzma. It's feeling your own being. In a gamma tam shlamit is a spatza ila is a prince ergish atzma. Schenke mit sechel eine prince ergish atzma. He passes it. He breaks it into two parts. There's the feeling itself, and then there's the, like we said, the logical basis for the feeling. Even there is also ergish atzma. So it's a little bit. It's a little bit abstract concept the way it's devised.
That isn't the logic just seichel? Why is the hergishat involved?
There are two parts. There's the seichel, there's the tam shalam mido. The way the seichel is within the midas, which we call in another place in Chassidus, it's called seichel shebemidas. Shaken as seichel atz ain't a pnes agashatzim. In other words, even in the middle, I don't know why he brings it in here, but it's all another way to develop better the yachas at ilav ol. So he brings in here for some reason another concept that there is a seichel shebemida. While you have the midah, there is the seichel shebazeh. Like everything's called zemizeh. So the seichel shebemida, the tam, is a gam kam kesagashatzma. You know, you feel while you're feeling, you have a strong feeling. Let's say in a kus. Kus is something we can't really relate to that well, but you can say it in anything that when you have a logical reason to make you feel that this is good for you. So within the feeling of the benefit that you derive from it, there's the logic there, and there's the pure feelings. Even the logic there, it's still called ergish atzma. It's a subjective type of logic, but seichel itself ain't a ergish atzma. Okay, so it's another way of breaking down the famous. I mean, there's one of the most common ideas that Chassidus talks about, the yachas of seichel and midas. I mean, it sometimes talks in this particular line, he's talking about the seichel shebemidas. I remember in other places we learned in a lot of my memory, the midas shebeseichel. That in the seichel gufa, there's the midah also, the regesh shebeseichel. All these details teach us how the il and all are really connected. They really have what the idea is to show us the almost like the paradox. On one hand, how they're really interconnected, but in Sheni, there's a major gap between them. Like here is trying to stress the gap. The way it's in the seichel, ein ergeshatzim. The way the idea is within the world of intellect is ein ergeshatzim. He doesn't feel himself. There's no subjectivity there. He puts himself aside. It's a pure analysis, objective analysis of what's good. That's the way it's in the world of seichel. The world of midas, even the seichel shebe midas, is already ergesh atzmi. His own ego is interfering. Okay, so you brought in this marshal here from seichel midas. Now he goes back to the first marshal of R'Dovid Olidort. Going back to, I think I mentioned the first time I learned also from all these three neshalim, we have three neshalim here: R'Dovid Olidort, Mesikas HaTapuach, and Seichel Midas. So I mean, the truth is, all three of them are pretty abstract. Sikas at the abstraction, because we don't really know what he's doing. We don't even know what Masikas Amazl is. It's only in what we call on paper, in our mind, we can understand the concept, but it's not something we can relate to. The Indian of Seichel Midas is a little more, we can a little relate to it. But I think the easiest one, also abstract, the easiest for us to relate is R'Dovid Olidort, but that's something we actually see more or less in real life. How that there's a teacher who teaches a student ideas that he teaches himself. He understands things way better. He knows it better. It's and the student. So in the world of in our world, that marshal of R'Dovid Olidort is most closest to what we can relate to. At least that's the way I see it. So going back to that marshal of R'Dovid Olidort, so the way it is in the way it is in the way a teacher relates to the student, so in the world of the student, in the world of the student, the idea reaches him in a more tangible way, according to his capacity, according to his kelim v'chushim, according to his senses, to his general capacity. The way it is in the world of the teacher, it's way more spiritual, it's way more abstract and subtle. Okay, so we have here, like I said, this whole entire discussion is to bring out the point, the yachas of the ilah and the ol. So in this particular junction is talking about how they're different. In the world of the ilah, it's much more abstract. The world of the ol, it's more tangible. So now it shows the other side of the coin. At the same time that we just established that they're different, there's a gap there. Same time, ain't the ein mamish. But you can't say that the way the seichels in the mind of the mashpia of this teacher is ein mamish. It's total nothingness related biyachas to the makabel. Because the idea, the way it is in the mind of the mashpia of this teacher, it's also a tangible type of being. It's not, obviously, it's much more abstract and more subtle and more spiritual, but it's still something tangible, something that you can point to. It's mitzias. Or Kamoyne jumps to a different, to the other marshal. Kamoy Mesika Shabamazal is a gamkin mitzias dover. So that, like I said before, he's talking about the Mesika Shabamazal as if it's something we can touch or we can see or hear. But Mesika Shabamazal is from our Megushim perspective, it's just a concept. Not it's more than an assumption. We know that since there's Mesikas in the Tapuach, and the Tapuach comes in the Mazel, we must say the Mazel says a Mesikas. It's not something we see, but he says, Shamsika Shom Mazel is a Gamkim because Metzias Dover. As that's the standard. I'll call it assumption, but when you say assumption, means it can be wrong, but it's not. Assumption means that's the way we understand it. But like I think I mentioned a few times, that the citizen general, the greater marshal to that is that we learned also in the various Maimorim. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya in Chesed B'Emunah, im a meir, bechutz kol shkin shemeir. If there's light that shines, Leir Shemesh shines outside, kol shkin surely shines within the Shemesh. So the concept is that if A creates B, there must be some kind of B within the A. That's the It's a standard understanding of reality that way. It's the same thing here. Since the mazel creates the tapuach, makaboy vermelagdal, we must say that if there's mistakes in the tapuach, there is some kind of mistakes in the mazel. Not only that, this is something quite strong. Mitzius dovo. There is a mitzius of mesikus in the mazel. The image of the again, it goes back what we said earlier. The way the mesikus, the sweetness, the way it exists within the mazel is much more. It's abstract. It's spiritual. It's only relative to the apple, to the sweetness of the apple. It's ruchni. But he himself must be also something that can be defined as sweetness. Like I said the marshal before from the Eira Shemesh. The fact that from that mazel, the mazel who is the source of the tapuach, what happens? A tapuach comes out. We must say that whatever all the qualities of the tapuach exist within the mazel. Otherwise, if the mazel would not have sweetness, so something else should have been created from the mazel. The fact that the mazel creates the tapuach, which is sweet, that forces us to realize that within the mazel is also sub-mitzvah, is called mesikus. Okay. All right. So now we go back to the other marshal of seichel midis. Similarly, when we said earlier that the seichel, when we said toivin shabaseichel, that's objective. It's an objective realization that the likud, we're talking about this is bonus in the likud. The likud is toiv, it's good. That's the way it's in the seichel. Because be'etzem atev the likud are mikom gavnes hergesh. ולכן נעשה מזה ספר בשכל, שמספר הליכוס. So the fact that within the seichel there is a certain state of excitement, that's already a sign that it's something that we can, it's definable. It has a definition. It's a feeling of you feel the goodness of a likus. There's a higher level in seichel, which is etzem hamoichin, not the hergesh shebeseichel, not the mitzvah shebeseichel, but the pure seichel. That's called etzem ve'emekas sogadoin eliki. In the depth, in the deeper state of grasping godliness. In that state of the intellectual grasp of godliness, then in the pure objective state of the seichel, there's a much stronger the goodness and greatness, loftiness of the likus, of godness, of the goodness of likus shines in the higher level of seichel much stronger. In that level of seichel, there's no such thing as a spilus, because the spilus is already within seichel gufa. Spilus is a low notch when the seichel gets excited. In the level of etzemat seichel, there's no spilus. How can it's dveikus? So he's talking. So again, see, he jumps into. Earlier he spoke, like I said earlier, he spoke about the seichel shebemidas. Now he's talking about the midas shebeseichel. In seichel gufa, there are a few levels. There's the pure seichel, which he calls here etzem hamoichin. That level, there's no spilus even. I mean, I wish we can bring the Gemaras for all this, but it's hard, it's a little hard to do it because.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand, like exactly
what exactly it means in real life. I mean, we know
and the spilus.
I'm sorry, Mandy. What did you just say?
No, Jay, I'm trying to understand what, like, last time also I had the same. Like, what's really mean that he hergish atayv, his pilots are stichly and vekos. What was the other lashon?
Yeah, it's like that's two ways the way the mind, the intellect relates to so again, so it's one of these things, like I said a few times, those things on paper they sound on paper, which means as a formula they make sense. That there is the part of the seichel which is totally objective, and it doesn't get involved. It can be excited on paper, but in real life, I'm not sure how we can describe all the subtle differences. I mean, everyone has a certain situation that he hears an idea that excites him, but and then but that itself, which category does belong? I would not be able to pinpoint what part of the excitement we'll call dveikus, what we'll call ispilus. Again, I don't know if we can.
No, one of the examples we can say is the Hasidus itself. The fact that when you're learning and you learn the intellectual part of it, without thinking, and then that when you contemplate and it's one, then you get more emotion, and it's going to come out. In other words, when it is on two different levels, I'm not sure if the best example, but you can relate a little bit somehow to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's true that they relate generally to the concept. Yeah, I agree. But we're talking about the differences, like you said, I don't know anybody. Maybe, I mean, if you could, but in other words, all these subtle differences that some person there's this dveikus sichli, then there's this pilus sichli, then there's the ergesh within the. Then there's the ergesh within the sechel, within the regesh, all these various madrigas. When we experience now, let's say you hear a shiur in Gemara, and it's very exciting. Let's say, right? So I don't know, when you say you're excited, you just feel, it makes it feel very you feel a geschmack in it, right? So it's hard to pinpoint what the geschmack you has. Is that the dveikus sichli, spilus sichli, spilus rikshi? It's hard to in real life. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what madrega it is, right? But
another thing that's what? How do we describe dveikus exactly? What's dveikus? When someone davens and they have dveikus here?
No, the daven is a different level. Here, the dveikus he talks about here, if you say dveikus here means when the person, again, we're talking about dveikus shebeseichel. It means when a person is very concentrates on an idea, and his mind is totally, overtaken by the ideas. He's very strong connection. This is not there's dveikus nelikus. That's a different. We're not talking about it. Dveikus means, but the description of it, seichel apa is the seichel when your mind is concentrating on a concept, and it's totally overtaken by it. So your mind is dovuk. It's totally attached to that concept. That's the dveikus he's talking about here. There's a concept of dveikus in a likus. You connect the Eibishter. That's also there's some, that's not, here he's talking about the mind. That's again, so it says in the etzem moichin raknes dveikus nidbak moed ben lekiv zem te shein res hergish ba mida shebasechel knes is pilus ishoknes hergish hatayv. Again, so there's the dveikus means your mind is cleaves to the concept. And you're right. It's talking about the inyan aliki here, but it's still it's like it's an intellectual type of attachment. For example, when we say the person is his mind is so preoccupied that he doesn't see what's happening around him. So that's a certain that in a way it's an expression of dveikus, which means it's a certain very deep connection. But it's not. But he said. But then there is ispilus sichle. Midas shabasech. But it's ispilus mis hegesh hatoiv. In other words, I don't even know. In other words, when in the dveikus, maybe I'm just guessing. Maybe in the dveikus is not even the toiv. When your mind is occupied, you're not even thinking whether it's good, whether it's beneficial. You just connected to the likus. The hergish is already that part when you recognize that there's something good about it in the seichel guf. Maybe that's the difference.
It's like regular moichin midas kind of thing in seichel itself.
Yeah, no, but here he's talking in keep because he's talking.
Right, in the keep, it's like a marshal. Somebody's so attached to the thing, it doesn't know what's going on if it's night, day.
Exactly. So to me,
when he's smoking.
Yeah, to me that is maybe we say an abstract, absent-minded professor, But I'm saying this is a little. It's not exactly, but that may be an illustration of the concept of dveikus.
Right.
It's a part of it at least. So that's dveikus. But the midas shabaseichel is pilus. Means it's not just that his mind is so preoccupied with the concept, but also he feels in his mind he recognizes the goodness. There's something good about it. So the male, that's already called hergish. When it's all this on madrigas, okay, now he jumps back to the other mashal. Means mashal jumps from one mashal to the other. Chein b'ashpas haseichel. Like I said earlier, that to my personal taste, the marshal of R'Dovid Talmud from this three Misharim, R'Dovid Talmud is also pretty abstract because 90% of the time the R'Dovid Talmud we know it's not exactly the way it is, but at least we can relate to it. So he says, going back to the marshal of R'Dovid Talmud, what does he want to bring out here? At this point in the Maimah, he wants to bring out. Remember, he started saying. So the first part of this discussion, he wanted to show the inaroich, the ilah are very far removed. The oil is only 1/10. It's only chitzonius. It's only madriga achreina, right? So he bought the stream mishalim. Now he wants to he's bringing out the opposite point that it's not ein mamish. That the way it is in the ilah. It's not in Ganzen, it's not totally total leap between the ill and the olam. So he started talking about mesikus. No, 1 second. First he started talking about ein mamish. So first he started talking mesikus of tapuach. Wait, I don't know. Like I said, the mesikus of the matter is also metzius, the meile. You can't say the mesikus mazel b'yachas the mesikus tapuach is ayin mamish. It's still mesikus. It's still okay. That was marshal number 1. Then the last part was the marshal number 2 in the marshal of seichel midas. He says also within the seichel there's taket. He says there's taket the level of dveikus. That's how I'm making. That's taket maybe ayin mamish. But then the next stage in the seichel, the spilus seichel b'yachas to the spilus shabelev. It's not ein mamish. There's some kind of spilus. Now he goes to the third marshal. Going back to the marshal. The way the mind is in the way that idea in the mind of the Rab, of the teacher is ruchnis, is way more abstract, way more spiritual. It's still something tangible. No, but within the mind of the teacher, there is the way he learns it on his own, without thinking about a student. There, it's taka'ain. But when he starts preparing himself to teach, so that aspect, the yachas to the student, we can't say that it's ain mamish. We can now, So he brings in before what he said before also about the marshal of Mashpia Makabel, the Klois Yotzes. That's what we need. The kidneys. There's all kinds of Klois Yotzes, like I said before. The kidneys, they have the function of the Klois Yotzes are magashim, make the idea more tangible. Shouldn't be so abstract and so subtle. See, there's another split. There's another split with he has two levels here. There is the Seichel HaMashpia, like I said, that there's the teacher when he learns the Gemara by him for his own. So biachas to that, when he learns on his own, so that the guy biachas to that, then when he start preparing a shiur to teach, when he prepares the shiur to teach to someone else, at that point that's already something yesh. So when he learns to teach and he learns on biachas himself, when he learns to teach, that's yesh. When he says the kol shekein legabe hamashpia k'mo yish lo yipchasei adayin, even more biachas to the teacher when he's not learning, he's busy with other stuff. So there bechaz shaloi be'erech that learning when he learns to teach, almanas to teach. Kayadua, you got shamashpia k'mo yish maskil. No, I'm sorry. So my marshal is not perfect here. So it says like this. In other words, the Lepchnes Iladain is not when he's not also when he's learning, but in learning Gufa, I guess the two madrigas, the Seichel K'moisha Mashpia Koydem Shabbat Ashpo, and then Mashpia K'moisha Lepchnes Iladain. So you have two madrigas here. Okay, I guess
that's the lower. That's lower.
What? Yeah.
Which one's higher? Which one's more lofty?
I think Ein Pnes Iladain. Okay, we'll revisit it tomorrow. Okay. All right.